Good morning, brothers and sisters. It is Sunday, September 20th, 2020. 2020, 2020, 2020. Oh, that's kind of fun. I've always liked numbers and those kind of palindromes and things like that, so that kind of captures my attention. So we are celebrating a milestone this past week, and that is 6 months in captivity. 6 months since many of us, were first sent home or asked to keep ourselves in our homes as a result of this pandemic, trying to protect the lives of others and also trying to comply with what was asked of us to do. And so we marked that week. It's been a bizarre 6 months. I find myself, like many of you, watching daily the reports from our Pennsylvania Department of Health in Erie County here, and noting how many new cases there are, how many are still being cared for and active, and also then how many people have been recovering from the disease. And we are doing well in Erie, Pennsylvania, I can tell you, as somebody who watches the numbers on a daily basis. I also watch my numbers here again, and we just completed our 6th week. We're almost halfway through the fall semester, which is very strange to say here on the 3rd week of September, but that's exactly where we are. And I've been really impressed also with the university's response. Now, we've had a couple of moments, like this past week, where we've ended the week with 11 students who are in isolation because they've tested positive. All or most are asymptomatic or showing very mild symptoms, and we're very thankful for that. But we also have 71 people in quarantine. These are the people who may have tested negative, but have still been around people who have tested positive, and we're waiting for more positive results from them. So we're kind of in that world right now of watching and waiting. And in some ways, I don't know about you, but I feel like, as I started the sermon, I feel like we are in a moment of captivity. We are being held almost hostage by this moment. I've said to people before, I've never understood the Babylonian captivity until now. And look, it's only been 6 months. We're not talking years here. And I feel like I still have a lot of my life that is mitigated and mediated because of Miss Rona. And I have had a couple of people say, well, why does she have to be a Miss? Why can't she be a Mr. Rona? Well, because Corona ends with an A. And for most of our country, for many of our country who speak Spanish, they would say that's a feminine noun. So Ms. Rona, I think, is an appropriate attribution for this disease. And so Ms. Rona is holding us captive. And the line this morning, or the words this morning from St. Paul in his letter to the Philippians, really ring true. And I was thinking about Paul. Now, his captivity was very different. The captivity that he was experiencing was definitely enslavement. And it was definitely enslavement and captivity from Rome. Rome was an occupying force throughout that part of the Mediterranean. And people were not making decisions based on what they want or even what they need. All of their decisions were being made for them. All of their lives were being guided for them. And while I might entertain the fact of connecting this experience of Corona to what Paul had experienced, it was not necessarily as aggressive or as total a life experience as he was experiencing at that time. Ms. Rona has mitigated my life, but I'm still working, I'm still going to work, I'm still teaching, I'm still shopping, I'm still engaging. And I'm always doing so, of course, because I want to care for others. I'm always doing so with my Gannon mask or some other mask. This week I got a new 24601 mask, and if you don't know what those numbers stand for, ask me. But I think that one of the challenges that we have right now is understanding what it means to do what we do because we are members of a community. We are members of a body of faith. We're supposed to be caring for one another and living our lives, as Paul says, as if the gospel makes a difference in our lives. We care for each other. We stand beside one another. And we stand up to our opponents. And let me caution one another. Our opponents are not the people who have different yard signs in the front of their homes. Our opponents are those people who ask us to not care about one another, to not do what we have to do in order to protect one another. We are brothers and sisters in Christ. That's even bigger than being fellow citizens of a common country, which we are also part of a same community that way as well. I test everything against that notion of, am I living the gospel? Am I caring for others? Am I loving other people the way I want them to love me? It's a little selfish, but it still works. And am I doing the good work that Jesus has given me to do? Am I feeding the hungry, housing the homeless, clothing the naked, visiting those who are in prison, am I looking out for widows, orphans, and foreigners who have come to our country? Am I caring for others in a way that is right to do because the gospel mandates it and because the gospel liberates me to do so? I think Paul has a lot to say to us today, 2,000 years later. We are captive by this pandemic. Ms. Rona is not kind, but we are liberated by our ability to respond to that moment because we are Christian. So, as the old song goes, they will know we are Christians by our love. By our love, yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. Love one another. God bless.